Not everyone has 80 hours to sink into a game. Sometimes you just want to sit down, have an amazing experience, and actually finish something, all in one night. No save files haunting you for months, no unfinished storylines living rent-free in your head. Just a complete, satisfying game from start to credits before you go to sleep. Today we've got 15 games you can absolutely crush in under 6 hours. And trust me, short does not mean boring. Let's get into it.
In 1807, the merchant vessel Obra Dinn arrived at port with no living crew. You're an insurance investigator. You have a magical pocket watch that lets you step into the moment of each crew member's death and see a frozen snapshot of exactly what happened. Your job is to figure out, for all 60 crew members, how each one died and who was responsible. That's the whole game. And it is one of the most rewarding puzzle experiences ever made, because every deduction you reach entirely on your own feels like a genuine discovery. The art style, black and white 1-bit rendering, looks unlike anything else on the market. The mystery is deep enough that it will stretch into 6 or 7 hours for most players, but it plays in a way where picking it up and putting it down is natural, so if you get through half the mystery in one night, that's a complete experience on its own. Lucas Pope, who also made Papers, Please, built this entirely by himself over 4 years. It won Game of the Year from multiple outlets in 2018. If you've never played it, tonight is a good night to change that.
Full disclaimer first. Disco Elysium is a long game if you go all the way through it. But the reason it's here is because the first 4 to 5 hours, before you leave the hotel district, are a completely self-contained, stunning experience that many people have replayed multiple times just as a standalone story. You're a detective. You've completely lost your memory. You wake up in a trashed hotel room with no idea who you are, and your inner thoughts, represented as skills with actual names and personalities like electrochemistry or inland empire, argue with each other out loud while you try to piece yourself back together. The writing in this game is among the best in any medium of the last decade, genuinely. The first few hours are an introduction to what might be the most ambitious and strange piece of interactive fiction ever made. You do not need to finish it in one night, but you will want to.
A goose, a village, a to-do list of increasingly chaotic objectives. Untitled Goose Game from House came out in 2019 and immediately became a cultural moment because the concept of being an annoying goose with agency is universally funny. And because the game fully commits to it. You honk, you steal things, you trap a child in a phone booth, you make a man fall into a lake. Every task is a little self-contained puzzle that requires you to figure out how to use your limited goose powers against a set of innocent villagers going about their day. The whole thing takes about 2 hours, maybe 3 if you take your time being maximally horrible. It's a complete, satisfying game that you can boot up, enjoy entirely, and finish before midnight without any stress. And the 2-player local co-op mode added later makes it even better for a shared evening. This is the game you show people who say they don't play games.
Okay, this one comes with a disclaimer. The full completion of Control is way longer than one night. But if you go in and play only the main story beats without hunting side content and collectibles, a lot of players have finished the core experience in 5 to 6 hours. And the reason it's on this list is because it's one of the most original settings in recent gaming. You're Jesse Faden, walking into the Federal Bureau of Control, a brutalist government building that has gone off the rails after contact with the paranormal. The architecture shifts, objects float in purgatory, and the lore is delivered through case files and interviews that reference government experiments that would be insane in any other game, but feel completely at home here. The main thing, play the story, follow the thread, and resist the urge to explore every hidden corridor on your first run. You can always go back, but if you let it, Control will eat your whole evening in the best possible way. From the same studio that made Gone Home, Tacoma is set on an abandoned space station in 2088. You arrive to investigate what happened to the crew, and you piece the story together through holographic recordings.
AR replays of past moments that you can scrub forward and backward through. Zoom in on different people, follow one character, and then rewind to see what someone else was doing in the same moment. It's a genuinely clever way to tell a story. The crew of 6 people all feel like real human beings. They argue out AI rights, they grieve together, they have small personal dramas that make the larger crisis hit harder when it comes. There's a dry wit threaded through the whole thing, and a real warmth to it despite the cold of deep space. 2 to 3 hours start to finish. It never got the cultural attention that Gone Home did, but as a piece of narrative design, it might be the more technically impressive of the two. Worth a solo night for sure. Not every game on this list needs to be traumatizing. A short hike is exactly what the title says. You're a bird on an island and you want to get to the top of the mountain. That's the whole game. Along the way, you collect golden feathers that let you jump and glide higher, meet a handful of memorable characters doing their own island things, and just exist in a place that is gentle and lovely. Adam Robinson Yu made this largely by himself, and it is one of those games that costs very little, takes maybe 2 hours, and leaves you in a genuinely better mood than when you started. There are no enemies, no fail states, no stress, just exploration and the satisfaction of a small adventure with a beginning, middle, and end. It appeared on many best games of 2019 lists and has quietly maintained a devoted following ever since. If you have a brutal week and need something that just feels kind, this is the one.
5 teenagers go to a supposedly haunted island for a party. One of them, Alex, accidentally opens a rift to something that was already there waiting. Oxenfree from Night School Studio came out in 2016, and it has one of the best dialogue systems in gaming. Conversations happen in real time while you're walking, so you have to actually choose whether to interrupt someone, stay quiet, or push a different topic. What you say shapes relationships in subtle ways you might not even notice until a second playthrough. The supernatural mystery is genuinely creepy. Radio frequencies that open portals, voices that shouldn't be there, time loops that start repeating in ways that mess with your head. The game is about 4 to 5 hours long, and it ends in a way that encourages you to go back and try different choices. There's also a strong argument that the second playthrough hits harder once you know what's actually happening. If you like the vibe of a coming-of-age horror story with actual emotional depth, this is one of the best examples the medium has produced.
A Victorian mansion, a painter, a masterpiece he can never seem to finish. Layers of Fear is one of those games that does something genuinely clever with space. Every time you turn around, the room you just came from is different. Hallways that lead somewhere new each time. Doors that open into wrong rooms. The whole architecture of the house shifts and warps as the painter's mental state deteriorates, and you piece together what happened to him and his family through objects, diary entries, and paintings that change when you look away. It's a first-person horror experience with a heavy focus on atmosphere over jump scares, though it does use both. The story has 3 possible endings depending on choices you make throughout. It takes around 3 to 5 hours, and because the whole thing is staged like a descent, it's perfectly designed to be played in one sitting late at night with the lights off. The sequel and the 2023 remaster both expand the universe, but the original is where the most concentrated, focused version of this story lives. Okay, this one is genuinely hard to categorize. The Stanley Parable came out in 2013 as a mod, got a proper release the same year, and then the Ultra Deluxe Edition dropped in 2022 with a huge pile of new content. You are Stanley. Your coworkers have disappeared. A narrator begins telling you what to do, and you can either follow the narrator's story or disobey. Every choice branches into a completely different experience. Some endings take 5 minutes, some take 20. Some of them are funny, some of them are disturbing. Some of them seem to be fully aware that you're playing a video game and are genuinely unsettled by this. One ending requires you to not play the game for 5 years. The whole thing is a meditation on choice, free will, storytelling, and what it even means to play a game, wrapped in one of the sharpest scripts in gaming history. You could technically see most of it in a few hours, but you'll keep coming back to find different routes because each one feels like a completely new game. You come home from a trip to Europe in 1995 to find your family's new house empty. Your sister left a note on the door saying not to go looking for her. Gone Home, released in 2013 but still sitting on lists like this because it genuinely earned its place, is the game that really started the conversation about walking simulators as a legitimate form. You just explore the house, open drawers, read letters, pick up cassette tapes. Every object in the house tells a piece of a story about your sister Sam and what happened while you were gone. It is a teenage love story told entirely through the debris of a life. Mixtapes, journal entries, school papers, band posters. There's no combat, no puzzle solving in the traditional sense, just reading and piecing things together. It takes around 2 hours. Some nights that's exactly what you need. Something quiet, something human, something that trusts you to pay attention.
6 is a small girl in a yellow raincoat. She's hungry. She wakes up inside a suitcase in a place called the Maw, a massive, dark underwater vessel filled with twisted, grotesque versions of adults who want to eat her. Little Nightmares came out in 2017 from Tarsier Studios, and it immediately drew comparisons to Laika-style stop-motion horror that seemed Tim Burton energy, where something is beautiful and deeply wrong at the same time. The monsters in this game aren't just scary, they're specifically designed to make you feel small and powerless, which is the whole psychological point. The long arms of the janitor, the massive chef twins in the kitchen, the lady. Every chapter introduces a new horror and a new set of environmental puzzles you have to solve while not getting caught and eaten. It runs about 3 to 5 hours, depending on how much you explore. By the time the credits roll, you'll have a few hours worth of imagery that you will not be able to unsee. The sequel, Little Nightmares 2, is just as good. If you finish this one in a night and want more, it's right there.
The concept of Superhot is genuinely one of the smartest ideas anyone has ever had in gaming. Time only moves when you move. That's it. That's the entire mechanic. You're in a first-person shooter, but nothing is happening until you decide to make something happen. The second you step to the left, a bullet starts flying toward you. The moment you pause, everything freezes. You have to choreograph your way through every single level like you're designing an action movie scene. Except the bullets and the body throws are real, and the consequences are immediate. The story wraps around this meta-narrative where the game seems to become aware of you playing it, and it keeps escalating in ways that are bizarre and brilliant. From start to finish, it's about 2.5 hours, maybe 3 if you die a lot, which you will. And then you'll have challenges, endless mode, speedrun modes, all of which unlock after you beat the campaign. But the main story alone is worth your night. It's genuinely one of the most original games released this decade. It's 1989. You're Henry. Your wife is ill, and you've taken a job as a fire lookout in the Wyoming wilderness, spending a summer alone in a watchtower with only one connection to another person, a woman named Delilah on the other end of a radio. Firewatch is about that relationship. Every hour of this game is a conversation. The voice acting, Mad Men's Rich Sommer as Henry, The Walking Dead's Cissy Jones as Delilah, is some of the best work in gaming. You will feel like these two people are real. And then things start going wrong. Something is watching you in the woods. Things are appearing that shouldn't be there. The mystery builds slowly and pulls you through the whole playthrough with ever losing your attention. It takes about 4 hours for most people, maybe 5 if you're exploring. The ending divides people. Some think it's perfect, some wanted more. But the journey to get there is almost universally loved. Campo Santo built something that feels like a living memory, and you can do the whole thing in one evening. Absolutely worth it.
Someone once said this game is less like playing something and more like reading a really good short story collection in one sitting. That's about right. You are Edith Finch, the last surviving member of a family with a legendary string of strange deaths. You return to the family home, a house stacked on itself in layers like a fever dream, and you work through the rooms of each family member who died before you.
every single chapter has its own gameplay mechanic, completely unlike the others. One chapter has you controlling a child on a swing while also reading a comic panel. Another puts you at a cannery job, where your hands start doing two different things at once in a way that slowly becomes deeply upsetting. This game won the BAFTA for Best Game in 2017 and the Best Narrative at both the Game Awards and the Game Developers' Choice Awards that same year. It takes about 2.5 hours. You will feel things you did not plan to feel. Keep tissues nearby if you're not a robot.
Inside is the kind of game you boot up at 9 p.m. and finish before midnight, and then sit in silence for 10 minutes trying to process what you just experienced. Made by Playdead, the same studio behind Limbo, this one dropped in 2016, and it has 3 controls: move, jump, grab. That's it. No dialogue, no UI, no map, no tutorial. A nameless boy drops into a forest, and you just start running right. What follows is 3.5 hours of one of the most beautifully constructed, deeply unsettling pieces of interactive storytelling ever made. The world tells you everything through what you see. Mind-controlled human drones, underwater horrors, farm animals used as experiments. Every room is a painting with something deeply wrong in it. The Kotaku reviewers sat down at their desk, played it start to finish in one sitting, and spent most of it texting their boss saying, "Holy," in increasingly alarming ways. IGN gave it a 10, Giant Bomb gave it a 5 out of 5. And the ending, which I will not spoil, is one of the most unforgettable things any game has ever done. Whatever you watch tonight, add this first.